And this links to the Ann Widdecombe situation. I mean, I tweeted this back on Friday after it happened, and something inside of me just could tell there was some political motivation behind this. And some things don't add up entirely, but something inside it was obviously politically motivated. We've been seeing the rise in politically motivated violence over the last few years, and it continues to get worse. I mean, even today is the 2-year anniversary of Donald Trump's attempted assassination. Whatever your opinions are about that, whether you think it was staged or not, I personally don't think it was staged. I don't think everything's a big conspiracy. But we are seeing this rise in political violence throughout the West. And it does everyone a favor to be very alert about this, because, I mean, I keep saying this. I say this when it comes to every situation. I say this when it comes to things like Thomas, young Bob, going out on the streets. I'm like, these people are not there to have a conversation with you. There is no form of debate to be had. There is no reasoning to be had with these people, because they don't want to talk. They've not wanted to talk for a very long time, and now they're making it very clear they have no intention of talking to you. So we saw this murder of Ann Widdecombe over the weekend. I just want to read you the BBC News report on it. The BBC News report said, Ann Widdecombe suspect not known to prevent as counter-terrorism police take over investigation. A 28-year-old white British man from Rotherham, South Yorkshire, originally arrested on suspicion of murder on Saturday, has now been rearrested on suspicion of commission, preparation, or instigation of acts of terrorism, as in it was a premeditated attack, and he had been planning this for at least a short amount of time. Speaking to the House of Commons on Monday, Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood confirmed the suspect was not known to government's Prevent Anti-Terror scheme. Widdecombe, a 78-year-old former Conservative minister turned Reform UK spokesperson, was found dead at her home in Devon, having sustained serious injuries. The counter-terrorism police of South East said new information had come to light during which had been a dynamic and complex investigation. Now, the man in question regarding this situation, his neighbours describe him as a 28-year-old man with severe learning difficulties. They said that his dad passed away in December last year, not September. And he is a hermit. He does not leave his house. He's not sociable. He doesn't really do anything. The story that we are told at the moment is that on Thursday morning, he left his house at about 7 o'clock in the morning and drove all the way to Devon and arrived at about 12:30 where the murder took place. He allegedly got into the house via a back door that was left open due to the heat wave that we're currently experiencing, in which he went inside of the property and went on to attack Ann Widdecombe, smack her over the head with a wooden stick, and leave her there to bleed out. There are a few things about this story with new information. Obviously, I'm not going to have all the information yet, because we don't know. We are told that he supposedly was learning about the Russian Communist Manifesto, which is interesting, but I think that points towards politically motivation, which is what I suspected at the beginning and tweeted about suspecting. And a lot of people were mad at me for doing that, saying there's no evidence of that. Yeah, well, you tell me what else it would be. Why would somebody go to Ann Widdecombe's house and seek her out, somebody that's not from the area, if it was anything other than political motivation? But they said that he was allegedly learning about the Russian Communist Manifesto and suffering with severe mental difficulties. Now, look, this is coming at a time when Farage is talking about his £5 million donation, saying that he needs it for security because of the threat to his life and because of the danger of doing his job. This event has given him reason to justify that. In fact, Shabana Mahmood, even in the Houses of Commons today, saying that she will have a meeting with Nigel Farage and talk about security funding, talk about security for him. So it's coming at a very inconspicuous time. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not going to do that. I will believe the main story that this was a man with a deep political hatred for people like Ann Widdecombe and went out to do harm to her. I will believe that story. I'm not a conspiracy nut job that's going to sit here giving you a Charlie Kirk conspiracy level theory, because all of those were proven to be retarded as well. But what I will tell you is, obviously, we are in a war against our political opposition where they continuously go out of their way to harm, attack, and kill our side. They go out of their way to ensue violence and murder against us for holding our opinions. The response online from the political left here in the UK was obvious that they had no remorse and no sympathy. Their first response was, good, she deserves it. Somebody was saying that they hoped that she was chained to a bed and suffered in agony. They were spitting on her grave already. They were pissing on her grave already. And look, I have my political disagreements with Anne. But again, even my political opposition, I don't wish death on anybody. But these people do. And that's what these people are like. And it was obvious from their response straight away that there was political motivation behind this killing, because the reaction of them shows that there is this deep, visceral hatred towards anybody that may hold any form of conservative or nationalist point of views. And they were pulling out, a lot of gays as well were criticizing her and pulling out quotes where she was anti-homosexuality. And look, I probably agree with her on 99% of that. What's wrong with that? Why can you not hold opinions about these things that are so abstract? We still can't even have rational conversations about the nurture or nature version of homosexuality. They still can't even comprehend that there is a massive nurture aspect to it, and there's zero biological reality in homosexuality. There's zero gay gene. There's zero biological evidence of homosexuality being a birth defect or anything. It's simply put down to a societal nurtured factor. And you got all these people online screaming all this abuse, saying she deserves it, burn in hell, hope she was tied to a bed in agony, laughing that she was murdered. Because that is what the left are like. That is what they do. So I don't know how many more people have to deal with these how many more people have to deal with the political violence of our opposition before you begin to realize that there is nothing you can say to them, nor justify with them. They don't care. Because they are just aggressive and they do seek just to hurt you. They want you dead. All right? Simple as, they want you dead. If it was a premeditated attack, it tells you everything you need to know. They are planning this shit. They're probably planning it against most political activists on the right wing in this country, in all fairness. This is why people like me are very cautious and wary about the people that are around us all the time. It's one of the reasons I fucking hate London. I always go with a hat and glasses on because I'm like, I'm not even dealing with this. And this is why I critique people like Thomas, Young Bob, and I say you're wasting your time. You've been beaten up before, they'll do worse eventually. Because in their reality, their manifesto of their idiocy, their manifesto of their violent, egregious politics tells them that they just need us dead. They quite openly talk about building societies without right-wing people. And you sit there and try and have democratic conversation with them and try and justify your opinions to them. They're not listening. They were never listening. They're just conspirifying against you. They're plotting. They always are. And this is why it's even more daunting, the reality that we find ourselves in. They come out, they say he was not known to prevent and counter-terrorism did not have him on a list anywhere. Yet if we look at the report from last year from the BBC, it was saying that counter-terrorism increased its far-right extremist list by about 70%. They said that majority of the list is taken up by the far right. Now, there was no they did not have an ideology in which they blamed for that. There was no ideological basis. They were just deeming far right as like anything that criticized immigration or demographic replacement or dared to deem that the British people were a racial categorization. And that's the way the system is being implemented. It's being implemented to promote and protect because it runs deep through all forms of parliamentary systems, through all forms of educational systems, through all forms of the civil service, from the lobbyist groups, from the foreign controlled groups, everything. The media, television, entertainment, it's all propagandized in favor of left-wing ideologies that seek to quash and frankly remove the right wing and nationalists from our sphere. There's a reason why they refer to everybody as a communist, as a Nazi, as a fascist. It's always the extreme labels. Most people on the left that call themselves a communist, I mean, there's a reason they go around, and you can see this. You can see why they're allowed to do this. You go around to the middle of any major city on a weekend, you will find a table with the Communist Party giving out leaflets, flying the hammer and sickle. You will find posters of the Revolutionary Communist Party, where I think she's called Fiona, she's an idiot, I've argued once online, but promoting communism. I'm not saying do this, nor am I saying I'd promote this, but I'm just going to give you the most extreme example on the other foot, just to prove a point that this is the way the system is allowed to implement these ideologies. If you were to go and stand in any major city with a table with a swastika or the Iron Cross, you would have the police shut you down and probably arrest you for a racially aggravated hate crime within about 5 to 10 minutes. Easily. But when it's the communists, they appease it. They give them the chance to run as a genuine political party. And that's not a coincidence. Every single aspect about our society is built on a liberal framework. It is built in an aspect that allows you to hold whatever opinion you want, as long as it is seen to be deemed as liberal or progressive, or anything that is not too right. As long as it's not just past right of centre, it's fine. Libertarian economics, that's right economics, communist policy, extreme socialist policy, extreme civic nationalist, whatever. But our own government will come in and they will, if you can go look this up, this is on the government website, it deems extremist ideologies, those that it would call domestic terrorists, as anybody that has any form of white identity and promotes white identity, those that have ethnic basis onto what it is to be British, those that dare promote any form of ethnic nationalism, they classify all of us as far right. In the eyes of the government, me and most of you watching this, we are deemed as domestic terrorists. But they would never call a communist a domestic terrorist. So when you look at things like Prevent, and when you look at things like the counter-terrorist police, and you wonder why they don't have files on these far-left extremists and these communist extremists and revolutionaries that want to sit there and go around Cardiff pretending to do the little, we're going to learn how to fight back against the far right. I might not agree with White Vanguard on everything, but I will give them my my endorsement about the way they confronted the communists in Cardiff. That was funny as fuck. So you know what? Fair enough. But they can get away with all of that, and Prevent will ignore it, because that's not what they're bothered about. That's not what the government's threatened about. The government is threatened by the right wing. They are threatened by the young people having a racially conscious mindset, by having an ethnically conscious mindset. And that's why if you look at the Prevent referrals, not reform, Prevent referrals, what you can see is a massive spike in what they deem to be far-right extremism, but with zero ideological basis behind it, because they are deeming anybody in the younger generations that is racially conscious or dares speaks out against our demographic replacement or dares to define what a British person is, they are defining anybody in that category as a far-right extremist. If you were to go into college or uni as a young guy and be like, I'm a communist, nobody would care. Your lecturers would probably cheer you on because they've all been attacked by the Frankfurt School and you know exactly who ran the Frankfurt School. But if you were to turn up and say, hey guys, I believe that England is for the English and I believe in ethno-nationalism. I believe that maybe we need a socially conservative policy mixed with some nationalisation, some pro-worker policy, some nationalist economic policy. You'd probably get kicked out of uni. You'd probably get kicked out of college. You'd probably have a meeting with your referral officer because that's the way the system is enforced. It is a liberal system enforced to protect left-wing ideologies which were promoted outside of the Frankfurt School. And you can look at the Frankfurt School. I don't need to go over it. You know exactly what it is and what I'm talking about. And it's a system that is upheld by these exact same people at the expense of the native British people. And that's why they are not prepared for this left-wing violence.